Vapers, Abby here. It's laundry day and we're also doing a coil building tutorial. Let me just tell you, I give props and respect to anyone out there in the YouTube world that does coil building tutorials because it is so hard. I have my tripod up here and my arms underneath and I was like, this is how you do this, and couldn't see anything. And it was just a nightmare, but we got through it and we did it. We built a dual micro coil on this IGO-W. Here it is, check it out. If you want to see the build on this, stay tuned and see how we did it. And listen up, Vapers, I also want to mention to everybody, please check your battery amp limit and make sure that it is enough to handle this sub-ohm. We're building a 0.4 ohm dual coil, which means that you need 10.5 amp limit, which means you need Sony VTC5 or VTC4 or something like that. So please go to the link in the description below, calculate the amp limit for your coil for your particular ohm rating, and then look up the amp limit for your particular battery and make sure that everything fits together and you are completely safe. So the supplies that you're going to need to create a dual coil build on your IGO-W are, of course, your IGO-W, organic cotton, your juice, your ohm reader, tweezers, your wire. In this case, we're going to be using 26 gauge Canthal, a little itty bitty screwdriver, something to wrap your coil around. In this case, we're using Allen wrenches. We're going to be using the 3/32 Allen wrench. I also have another set of Allen wrenches so I can stabilize the other coil, which you'll see as we go through the tutorial. Pliers, scissors, a lighter, nail clipper. A good test to do before you start building is to take the piece that you're using to wrap the coil around, like this Allen wrench. I'm using the 3/32. It's a good practice to kind of put it against your IGO-W, whatever you're building on, and just make sure that when you do have a wrap, it will be able, there's enough room to have it away from the posts a little bit and not going over the deck. So this is perfect. This is super important for smaller builds such as this Novice Hybrid, which is has a very small deck. So when you put this up against it, you can see, you know, if that coil would be able to sit there without going outside of the deck. We've got our cleaned off IGO-W, we've got our 3/32, which is what we're building on. So you're going to take your 26 gauge wire, you're going to cut off a piece of wire that's about 6 inches or so, just so that you have a lot to play with. If you're newer to building coils, you want to cut off a little bit more so that you can kind of play around with it. And then you're going to cut a second piece that's the same size for our dual coils, and then you've got your 2 pieces of wire right here. As you get better at this, you can cut smaller and smaller pieces and you'll kind of get a feel for what you need. Take your 3/32 and you're going to hold the wire onto that Allen wrench just like this with your thumb and finger, and then you're going to start wrapping. We're going to do 6 wraps, including this first one that's already kind of started. So we're going to do 1, and you want to make sure that they are nice and close. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then right around makes that half into a hole, and that's 6. So we've got 6 wraps right there. See if I can focus on that. Alright, my camera was focusing on that green washcloth, so I took it away. So there's our 6 wraps. You can count them there. This one's kind of like a half, but once it goes into the pin, it'll end up being 6 right here. See that? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now you're going to cut these leads off because we obviously had way more than we needed. And you want to cut one lead shorter than the other so that you can guide one in and then you can guide the other one in. Now we're going to build the other one exactly like that. So take this guy off, set it aside somewhere safe. Grab your other wire here, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to hold it up against the Allen wrench with our thumb and finger, and then we're going to wrap it around like this. You want to kind of get it as close to the other one as possible. We'll fix it during the build and get them closer together, but it's easier if you start out with them close, and it looks a little better. So there's 4, 5, and yeah, that was 6. This one, the longer one. This one wasn't as pretty, but you know, gives you an example of different kinds. There's our wire for that one. Alright, so now we're going to take that one off, and we're going to take one of the coils here, put it in this guy, and we're just going to burn it just to get that sponginess out of it. Make sure that this Canthal is down in the blue area of the flame, because that's the hottest flame. You won't get any like char on there. If you stick it up in the top of the flame, your coil is going to turn black because it's basically just kind of charring it instead of getting a nice heat to it. So you can either do this with a lighter or a torch. Sometimes I don't even do this. It's not a necessary step, but it just makes it easier to work with, and it makes the wire more pliable. Let's do the other one. So now we finally have a use for our old lighters. I can already tell this coil is going to be the troublemaker of the group. Doesn't look as nice as the other one, but that's how the cookie crumbles today. Alright, we've got our 2 coils. Now we're going to start our build. Always put your coil back onto what you use to wrap it, because then it helps it to keep its shape as you put it into your device. So put this one aside for now. We've got our IGO-W right here. We've got the posts up so that you can see through all those holes, because that's where your wire is going to go. You don't want anything to obstruct it as you're putting them through. So make sure you can see through all those holes. Could even put this one up a little bit. There we go. Alright, so we're going to take our wire, our coil, we're going to feed it through the long one first. Alright, this is super hard on camera, guys. My left hand is like trapped under a tripod right now, so you gotta give me a break, guys. Alright, let's see. First one, second one, there we go. Went through. Hallelujah. Alright, go ahead and pull these through. You can also use your pliers to kind of help you pull those wires through. This is also probably a pretty good tutorial for people that are left-handed, since I'm left-handed. I never thought of that. Alright, so this is through just like that. Ta-da! Looks pretty decent. You can go through and tighten down this outside one, your negative post. You don't want to tighten it down too much. You don't want to tighten down this middle one at all, because we need to put another wire through that, and then this one will tighten down once we get our other coil. So now you can either use the same thing that you use to wrap this guy, or you can do what I like to do, which is to use another one. I'm going to put it on the other side. And this is always the most difficult part, I think. So you're going to get that, try to see this on here. You're going to put the leads through. The middle one is always the most difficult. Oh, we got it. And then the second one here. Go Going through, not as hard as I thought. Alright, so we got that other one through there. I know this looks kind of weird, guys, but it's nice and stable, and I like it. Alright, alright. Okay, so we push that bad boy up into there. Ta-da! That coil looks really ugly right now, but don't worry, we'll fix that. Alright, so now we've got both coils in there. You want to make sure that, oh my gosh, get back in there. Alright, you want to make sure that they are an even distance away from the posts, pretty even, before you tighten down. And now you're going to go and grab your screwdriver. You're going to tighten down those posts, alright? You don't want to like wrench them down too much, you know, you don't want to break the wire, but I haven't really broken any wire yet, so I feel like you can go pretty tight. Alright, so tighten down those screws, and we can tighten them down later as we get into this build. You're going to take away the Allen wrenches, put those to the side for now. Let's take a look at our handiwork. Alright, so we're going to work on getting these the same height on the deck here. You can put your Allen wrench in there and just kind of lift it up a little bit and tighten it down. You just want to kind of play with it. Make sure that they're kind of at the right height. They're not touching the posts. That's very important, or else you'll short out. You want to make sure they're the same height and they're the same distance away from the posts. This one looks really ugly. But that's that, guys. So now that you've got the hard part out of the way, we're going to trim these leads, our nail clippers, and we're going to trim these leads as close as we can. I find on the IGO-W, the middle posts are really hard to trim the leads, so I think if you had like some wire cutters or something to get closer in there, it'd be easier. Get in there real good. Let's get in there real good. Alright, let's go ahead. Do the middle one. Try to get in there as close as you can. You don't want kind of extra wire just all sticking up like crazy. You want to get in there as close as humanly possible and trim off those leads, and then the rest of the leads that are poking up, you can see those, you want to bend them so that they're going up. Quintuple check, what's the word? For loose screws, we found one. Alright, let's slip on this ohm reader here, see what we're coming in at. There we go, 0.4. 0.4, right on the money, guys. Good job. And it may go down a little bit as we kind of clean up these coils, but we'll see what happens. So now we've got the coils, they're pretty close to being the same height. There we go. About same distance away from the posts. We're going to take it off of our ohm reader. We're going to now put it on our device. Make sure you've got a nice fresh battery in there. Check the screws for like the 10th time. Alright, so we've got it on our device. I'm using a Stingray clone. And we're going to go ahead and pulse it a few times just to kind of get it in the mood. You can see it start to heat up. And you can see right away that in that top one, well, in both of them, we've got some hot spots where not the entire coil isn't lighting up. So you want to, after you kind of pulse it, then you want to go in and just clamp it down with your tweezers and start to get all those coils together nice and good. Pulse it again. Let's hold it. See what happens here. Looking a lot better. This one is definitely the problem child though. You're going to clamp and hold with tweezers. So as it's hot, you're kind of adjusting that wire, getting it closer together. This one looks pretty decent. You want to still make sure it's distance apart, it's the same height on there. That'll help the coils to get warm at the same time, to fire up at the same time. You want that. So when you're firing this pin, you're looking for them to heat up at the same time. You're looking for them to heat from the inside out. You want to look for all those things and make sure that you don't start the cotton process until that is done. So you can see the right one there is heating up faster. So our right one's heating up faster than the left one, it seems like, to me. So I'm going to go through, make sure that these are tight, again, because I'm obsessive compulsive about that, I guess. And we are going to go through and just hold these down. There we go, much better. There, perfect. So you see how they both lit up at the same time from the inside out, and they looked pretty identical? That's what you want. So go ahead, lock your mod. We're gonna test the ohms one last time before we wick this guy. Alright, so we've got it on our ohm reader here. We're gonna flip it on, test it again. We're still at 0.4. Everything's tight, good. Our coils look pretty good. Alright, that's that. Take it off the ohm reader. We're going to put it on our mod. We're going to wick it, get her juiced up, see how she vapes. This is the exciting part, you guys. Get excited. Alright, we've got her on our mod. We're locked. Make sure you're locked. And we're going to get the organic cotton. Alright, so personally, I think that wicking is one of the most important parts of your build, and you know, I'm still learning the wicking process and kind of what the best ways to wick are. But right now we're going to go with this organic cotton. You want to try and find the end of the cotton ball. Pull it out, unroll this guy, and you're going to take about, I don't know, 2 inches, maybe less than that. Chop it off, set aside the rest for your next build, and we're going to do about a little less than half, so right here. I just kind of look at where it naturally separates and just try that. If it's too big, we're going to trim her down, pull some cotton out. Alright, we're going to roll up the cotton just like this, and at one end you're going to make it really tiny, and we're going to stick it through like that. Try to get the rest of that cotton in there. You want a big enough piece that it slides through, but it's not getting caught too much anywhere. You know, you kind of have to experiment with your cotton. So I'm going to pull it all the way through because maybe we can use this piece for the other side. Watch out. Watch out. It's hard to cut things when your hand is underneath the tripod, and ta-da. So we're going to cut one side. This is how I wick. I also have a couple other ways that I wick, but that'll be a different video. A little hanging out on the end there. We're going to go ahead and use the same piece of cotton for the other side. If you don't have enough, just go ahead and pull off another piece. Use the rest of your little square if you need to. As you get better at this wicking process, you'll use less and less cotton waste. So there we have it. There's the wick. Let's get that focused. There we go. Now we're going to tuck these guys under. You can kind of play with it a little bit, you know, blow on it. Get some air in there. Make sure your cotton's nice and fluffy. because that's going to help you with wicking it up, get some kind of air pockets in there, holds onto the juice really well. So now we're going to take our tweezers and we're going to just kind of tuck the little tails in under the little lip there, just like that, easy peasy. I love building coils because I'm like so excited to get that first drag off of it, off of a new coil. So nice. Alright, so for these guys, the longer tails, we're gonna kind of just fold it under, just like that. Stick it in there with your tweezers, kind of make sure everything is folded into the deck, just like that. And then you're also going to want to make sure that underneath your coil and on the side of the coil and on the top of the coil, all that, make sure your coil is fully visible and you can have good airflow that way. So there's one side. Do the same exact thing to the other side. This is going to get folded under. Just like that, right? And then going to kind of just make sure it's in the deck, you guys, and you can kind of fool around with the wicking. I've experimented with a few different ways of wicking. This is just the easiest and fastest way. I'll probably do a video of just different wicking techniques because I feel like that's not really out there in the YouTube land. So there we go. There's the cotton on our wicks and everything's good to go. Now do not fire this until you put juice on it. That is #1 bad decision if you do it. Alright, let's put some juice on this guy. You just want to make sure you coat everything. You don't want to put a ton on there, but you want to make sure you've covered all the white spots. Alright, if you've done your wicking job properly, this juice should wick up just fine in there. It usually holds quite a bit of juice, you'd be surprised. This juice just smells so good, like fresh fruit, it's amazing. Alright, check it out. So we've got it wicked, it's kind of soaking in, and that's that. So let's unlock her. Woo! It's pretty nice, pretty nice. Alright, so that's it for the coil building tutorial. Let's take her back up top and we'll give her a vape. Alright guys, we did it! We built a coil! I hope yours turned out good. Mine turned out awesome. Check it out. Here it is on our device. I got my Stingray clone here, my IGO-W, my Capital vapes, my drip tip, etc., etc. Let's take a vape and check out how she performs. Beautiful, beautiful vapor, nice dense clouds on this 0.4 build. I love it. How do you guys think you did? Was it successful? Was my first coil building tutorial successful? Leave a comment and let me know if you want to see more. I'd like to do a K-Fun 3.1 build as well as a novice hybrid build because that's what I got. And I haven't seen many of those novice hybrid builds, so that'll be a good one. So yeah, like this video if your coil turned out alright. If you like my tutorial and you want more of them, let me know. And subscribe if you haven't already. That's it for me, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.